you gotta check out Whoa, what is going on here?
Nothing, I'm just doing a little bit of experimenting. You know how we wanted those new products ready for this episode. So I'm in here working with some graphene, some ceramics, and I really think you're gonna like the results.
Mixing it up a little bit, huh?
I am. But just speaking of mixing it up, let me show you the best formula I've come up with all week. You're gonna love this.
It's a drink, huh?
Well, that's yet to be determined. However,
I'm glad to see your education's paying off here.
I told Mom and Dad it would eventually.
Okay, well, this is awesome and all, but you gotta come check out, I've got the ultimate sports car that I just pulled in.
The ultimate sports car?
Yeah. Ultimate sports car.
Okay.
You got my
attention.
You gotta
Let's
come
go
check it
see
out.
the ultimate sports car.
You gotta come check it out.
Oh, so I thought you said the ultimate
This
sports
is
car.
the ultimate sports car. The 2000 Porsche Boxster S. Okay?
Okay, you have my attention.
What were you thinking, Lamborghini?
Well, kind of.
Well, dreaming for $5,000. Okay, and you won't believe the price that I got on it.
How much did you pay?
$3,900 for this baby.
Wow, okay.
She runs.
Okay.
There's a little bit of work to be done, but
Well, it's an S, so it is the ultimate enthusiast car. Nothing that you don't need, just pure sports car. And $3,900.
$3,900.
How do you go wrong with that?
You can't.
So you said there was a few things wrong. Let's do our checklist. Let's go through
okay,
what
so
we
the
got to
first
fix.
thing is that it was parked in a garage when I went and bought it. Okay, it looked great. It looks great in here, but you pull it out into the sun, you know, we've got some major spider web issues going on. It's gonna need to be paint corrected. We're gonna definitely have to put some work into it.
Yeah.
Okay, don't laugh that hard.
Okay.
Maybe a chuckle would be
Yeah,
okay.
it's not bad. We can take care of that. Here's the funny thing though is, I noticed this from 10 feet away. What is it about the trim
German
on this?
cars, I don't know. Okay, but if we look at every German car that we've had, trim problems.
Yeah.
Trim problems, trim problems, trim problems.
Well, luckily, when you came into the lab, I was working on that new formula for trim that we hope is going to last for years.
Right.
And we've been playing around with a new substance called graphene and mixing it up and hoping that it bonds molecularly to the plastic and really keeps it dark and rich looking for years to come. So that'll be a good experiment here. We'll play around with it and see what happens.
Yeah, that would be good.
Oh yeah, we do have some trim work to do.
That's bad.
But
The other thing was that California water, some of the hardest in the States. And when I went and watched this baby, I sat there and scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, couldn't get these water spots off.
yeah, they look like they come off and then the sun hits them and
You're like,
yeah.
damn it.
Well, back in the lab, I was also working on a water spot remover, which
Oh,
you've
look
been drinking for about the last 10 minutes.
Look at you.
Let me
just
know how it goes.
Mixing it up in the lab.
Yeah, I've been busy this last week because we really have some things we want to be able to accomplish when we bring in these cars. And that's
I'm
gonna be a
excited
great
to see what
test.
it does with that.
Me too.
The other thing I wanted to mention was that the BMW Z4 that we just did, you know, when you look at the rims, we painted those calipers and it just brought out the car so much.
Yes.
These ones need some work. They have some awesome wheels, but if we were to go and repaint the calipers, I think it would be a night and day difference for us.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love about Porsche. I think they invented the red caliper. And on an S model, that just signifies the package that you have here.
What if it was just a regular Boxster? Would have you not been as excited? The S get ya?
The S gets me. I just love the extra
The
boost
sport.
that they get. And this car's so light when you put that kind of horsepower in it. It really is a fun car to drive. So yeah, the rims are trashy too. So we might want to go through and respray those, plus the calipers. And I'm going to show the viewers how we can do calipers in under 10 minutes a wheel. And it really is quick and
It
easy.
really changes the whole look of the car.
Yeah, and you saw on the BMW, it was lickety split. So we'll share that secret on the best way to do that and go from there. However, I'm not letting you off the hook that easy because I gotta tell you, I looked at these seats, and as much as I love this car, you're not dying your way out of those, babies.
Okay, well, we saw how well the dye went on the Z4 that you did.
Oh yeah.
It turned out okay.
It turned out okay, good, but it was a project.
It was a major project, and this time I decided, we don't really want to go that route. I don't want to go in and dye the seats. So, got a little surprise.
Sheepskins?
I've got a little surprise.
Oh,
if you want to do your drum roll thing that you did with the sheet
I've already
the other
had one
day.
surprise today. Let's keep it.
Check those out. I actually got leather for us to be able to go in.
That's a factory embossed logo too.
Yeah,
I like that. That is. That's
and
a nice quality leather.
how much does it usually cost for you to go in and have an upholsterer go through, reupholster the whole thing?
Well, last time we checked on that, and that's wI decided to dye the seats, is because I think he quoted us $1,900 for just the 2 seats, and we ended up doing it for $60.
Yeah,
and it looked great. But this is phenomenal. However,
guess how much?
I'm gonna have Steve guess how much because I think you've gone over budget.
$385.
Are you serious?
Yeah, for us to redo the entire seats. That's what drew me to this car too, because I saw the interior. I was like, this is going to be a perfect car for us to go and try something new on. I may need you to make a couple more of these as I'm going through the process.
Yeah, at least a couple. Okay, so this is great. I have 2 questions though. The first is, have you ever done seats like this?
No, it'll be easy. I'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, you're the interior guy.
I'm the interior guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and the next is, why'd you choose black?
Good question. So this car is 20 years old, and I couldn't find the tan that matched it perfectly. So I decided, let's go in and match the trim with it. I
like that.
I said, let's throw a couple new black floor mats in there. We can see if we can get some cheap ones. That will highlight them nicely. We'll go through, and I'm thinking we should wrap the console here on the interior. It's a little bit shredded up and really needs some love. So
yeah, normally we would paint those, but I think wrap's a good idea. It'll really be more durable that way. And plus we can show the viewers quick and easy ways to wrap it and make it look like brand new.
And that's the whole thing. I might have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew. But we're gonna
Who would be dumb enough to do that?
Yeah. So we'll figure it out.
No, this is going to be a great project. And the white dials, I love this car. You really did a good job.
And the best thing about this,
yes,
the top is in great condition, so we're not going to need to have the whole show of you redoing the top this one either. So.
Oh, boy, you got my attention with that one as well.
Okay, well, let's get started. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's roll.
Okay, so as I mentioned, water spots all over the back of the car. I tried to scrub them off, couldn't get them to move.
Yeah, once that calcium sets into the paint, you're never going to just wash them off. Now, we could go through during our color correction and remove those pretty easily.
Right.
However, who wants to do a color correction every time the sprinklers hit your car?
Nobody does.
Yeah, especially on this black paint. So when you came into the lab, I really was working on your drink.
So you actually were formulating something.
Yes, I was.
Because that was very similar.
Does it probably taste very similar
It tastes
as well?
very similar as well.
However, what we really wanted to do was make it so you can remove the water spots, but usually when you do that, the acidics in the vinegar or whatever is the key formula most people use, take away the shine as well. We wanted to be able to go in and remove the spots and let you spritz up the shine as well.
So how's it coming?
Oh, well, let's test it out. I think I'm pretty excited about the results.
How long have you been working on this for?
This is a couple of months. And let's see what happens though. Now,
because I've used water spot remover before where it is super hard to actually remove once you put the remover on there, which is kind of funny, right?
Yeah, it gets tacky.
It gets super hard to kind of wipe off or buff off.
And most of them will take the wax off and everything else with them. So we wanted to eliminate that problem from the start. So normally I would let it sit on here for a minute and let it eat through that calcium, but let's see what happens.
Holy crap.
Wow. That's better than I thought it was going to be.
Is this what this is doing to my insides here in the drink?
Yeah, I think your stomach's quite shiny right now. Wow.
That looks great.
Yeah, I don't think that's too bad for a 2-month-old formula.
Wow.
Well, all right, I think we're on to something. I'm going to remove the rest of them now.
We're formulating something back there.
I was. Okay. So I think what we'll do now is go through, I'm going to remove the rest of the water spots, take some notes, and then we'll go and do the color correction, get rid of the cobwebbing, and then we'll go to you on the interior. What do you think?
Okay, let's get started.
All right, let's get started. Okay, so for any of you who have watched our show before and braved through it, we always start our color corrections with a good clay barring of the car. And what this does is takes out all the imperfections and iron particles and pollutants that are embedded in the paint long before we start hitting them with a buffer and swirling them around. And even on a clean car, you can see the amount of particles we've taken out just in this small area. Now I've gone ahead, because everyone has seen this before, and already done the rest of the car. So what we're going to do now is go after those micro scratches that Josh talked about and the cobwebbing that shows up usually on black paint, and especially older paint like this once it hits the sunlight. And for that, what we like to use is what we call a finesse compound. In past episodes, we've been developing a cutting compound which will go deeper and really exfoliate that top surface and get us down to some fresh paint. This is really just going to polish out and buff up this paint because it's not in bad shape all said and done. So let's get started. So there's probably 100 different ways you can do a color correction and do it correctly. And one of the things I like to do is, if I'm going with a lighter finesse polish, is maybe go a little heavier on the buffering pad itself. So I'm using a cutting pad here, which I've wet down slightly to stop spraying the paint. But really what I'm after with this is just a light correction. Over here we've got some flaws in the paint that just seem superficial, and I think we can bring it out and really deepen up the shine. But with this, what you want to do is start with a couple of pea-sized dots. A little will go a long ways, and add a little less as you go through the car because the pad starts to get a little full. So what we're going to do now is take care of some of these superficial flaws right here. So the hallmark of any great polishing compound is not only how well it corrects the paint, but how easy it is to take off. And this stuff seems to be quite nice, actually. So I'm going to go through and take a look. Wow, that does come off so easy. And any remnants of scratching are all gone. That really is a great formula, and I think we're going to work on it a little bit more. And then maybe in later episodes, we'll let you guys be part of it and tell us what you think. But let's get done with the rest of the car now. Wow, that looks great.
Oh, hi. So, we've made our way into the interior. Now, this Porsche Boxster, it's actually looking pretty good already, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. First thing is that I'm going to go through and I'm going to vacuum, and I'm going to use the extractor on all the interior carpets here. Luckily, we don't have to worry about these mats anymore because we're getting new mats. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our steamer and we're going to go through, we're going to steam the inside, steam all the vents, make sure that we really get in there nice and deep like on all the different areas. And then from there, we're going to do something that we haven't showed you guys before, which I'm really excited about. We're going to use some of our leather love, which is going to be our leather hydrator. Now, as you can see in the car, everything is leather here. So I'm going to take Hyper Cleanse, which is our all-purpose cleaner, now available in select retailers. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take that, wipe that down. We're going to use the leather love. We don't really know what's been going on here with this car for the last 20 years. So we're going to take some of the leather love, we're going to apply it, leave it on there for maybe up to 24 hours, depending on if we're feeling saucy or not. And from there, we'll wipe it off, and it should bring the leather right back. Not only is it going to provide the UV protection, but it's also going to rehydrate the hides. So let's get started. Now, I've applied the leather love. The most important thing before application is going to be cleaning the leather. So we've cleaned the leather with Hyper Cleanse first, and what we're going to do here is I'm just going to massage this in like I would massage lotion in the skin. And I'm going to cut over to Bill. He's going to show you how to do those calipers. We're going to leave this for a couple hours. We'll come through, wipe it clean, and show you guys the results. So let's do it.
Okay, so we've got the calipers all cleaned up, and I gotta say, they're in actually much better shape than I thought they were. However, we've come this far, so let's take it all the way and give them a fresh coat of paint. But what we wanna do first is tape off and mask some of the critical functional parts of the brakes to make sure we don't get paint in there. Also, this right here, the Porsche emblem, is actually painted onto this caliper, and so we may mask it, we may rough it up just a little bit, and we're gonna put a new decal right over the top of that, and so it's really not going to make much difference from that point. So let's mask it off and then we'll come back to our next trick. So we've gone on and we've taped off the bleeder valve and some of the mechanical parts of the brake caliper in the back side just to make sure we don't cause any damage. But here's what I like to do about covering off the rest of the car and separating the caliper so we don't get overspray and we can get a good clean paint. What we do is we start out with a garbage bag, basically, and we pre-cut a small hole in it. What's neat about this is this garbage bag will actually stretch over the caliper in a tight fashion so we block off paint from traveling anywhere else in the system. You can see how quick and easy that is. Plus we get a nice guard from overspray over the rest of the car. We can just take that bag, bring it all the way out, cover it up with our overspray sheet there. And you can see that's a pretty clean way to mask off a car quickly and get ready to shoot those calipers. So now we're going to get started with the primer coat. So now we're about ready to add the primer coat. A couple of things you want to make sure of is one, have plenty of good ventilation, which we have a good ventilation system here in our shop. So we're in good shape there, but make sure you do it out in an open area. The second thing is, I have painted hundreds of calipers in my day, and the biggest problem I always have is no matter what precautions I take to clean and degrease, you get fish eyes, and that's where the paint wants to spread and not stick in certain areas. So what I've found over the years is a lot of it has to do with the temperature, and so we use a basic heat gun, and we're going to go through and we heat up the caliper before applying the paint. And by doing this, right when the paint hits, it begins to dry, and you won't get the same problem with the fish eyes and all the other issues that come along with trying to paint a piece of metal that is exposed to so many chemicals, oils, and pollutants. So once we're done heating this up, we're going to come and apply our first coat of primer. Now you don't want the metal to be hot, but fairly warm to the touch. And now we're going to go through and basically start out with light passes and get that whole caliper covered. Like that. Now we're going to hit it again with the heat gun to make sure we get a fast drying time. Now we've covered the top of the car with a sheet, we've covered the shop floor with a tarp to make sure that we don't get overspray everywhere, because you can see what it's capable of doing. But once we've gone a few passes over this, make sure we're not getting any runs or drips. We're going to be ready for our second coat in just a little bit of time. So now what we've done is made the primer really tack down. We're going to add one more coat, and then we're going to let it dry for a while, and we'll come back and do the final coat. So now that the primer's dried, we're ready to add the color coat. Now, a lot of people say you have to use heat resistance paint. That's really not what we found in our experiences. The calipers just don't get hot enough to really do anything, and we really like the color of this Porsche red. So we're gonna use it and bring these calipers around, put our final coats on, and then we'll put Porsche decals and see how she looks. Let's go. So we put on our final coat of red, and I gotta tell you, it looks pretty good. It's not perfection, but once again, we're a $5,000 car, making it beautiful, not going to Pebble Beach. However, once this cures for about 24 hours, we'll come in, put on our Porsche decals, we're gonna refinish the wheels, and we'll put those back on. And I think you're gonna really like the difference.
At Lithium, we really strive to make surfaces healthy. And I gotta tell you, it might not show up on camera here, but this dash is looking fantastic. Leather Love really did its work. We let it sit for about 4 hours. I'm gonna come back through here and just kind of buff it off. And it is looking fantastic. Not only has it rehydrated the leather, it's also gonna provide you the UV protection that you're looking for. And you can take your microfiber and take off as much sheen as you'd like. So if you like a little bit more sheen on there, you can leave a little bit more sheen. If you wanna take more off, you can. But either way, it's going to be hydrating your leather as well as protect it from UV rays. So I'll show you guys the finished product here when we're finished with it.
So around here, we really love to push the limits on what's possible. And we formulate all types of things. And this week, we really focus on trying to get a new formula that will not only restore trim back to its original look, but will last for up to 1.5 years, 2 years maybe. In order to achieve that, we've had to kind of step outside of the box, and we started mixing some of our formulations with a material called graphene. Now, what makes graphene really unique is it's a derivative of graphite, but it's so fine and so strong that we're hoping that in the end, it's really gonna bond to the plastic and offer you great protection and a look that is just like what the factory offered years ago. Now, we removed the wiper blades to give us a free rein on the entire cowling here. However, as you can see, after 20 years of neglect, this plastic is really gonna put this product to the test. So what we're gonna do is start out by putting a little bit on an applicator. You wanna make sure you're wearing gloves for this kind of stuff because it will absorb into your skin. Any chemicals that you do, you wanna wear gloves. But now we're gonna go through and apply this, and what we're hoping for is a natural look without a lot of sheen that's really going to protect this from ever going to this color again. So we'll start out with a quick rub on the applicator. The important thing is to understand what was ruined in 20 years' time can't always be fixed in 20 seconds. So you want to put on a couple of coats and really let it soak into the plastic. And I think right there you can see the difference between before and after. Now what we're going to do is to relieve the shine and bring it back to natural. So we'll come in and we'll wipe it off. Wow, I really like the way that's come through. There's no greasy feel. It looks completely natural. It doesn't shine, yet it's full of UV inhibitors that are gonna keep that plastic protected before and after we put it on. So that's our new trim product, and we're gonna keep working on it and tell you and show you the results a little bit later. And our next episode, we'll come back and talk a little bit about its longevity and how it's holding up. We'll put it through some chemical tests. We'll put it through some quick aging, so to speak, and we'll let you see how it's doing. But for now, let's come back to the next episode and we'll see you then.